because it was raining and his hair would get messed up. For a million reasons, petty, shallow, and primal, Trump does not want to go to jail.
Yeah, despite his references to Nelson Mandela, we will not see him doing a 24-hour Nelson Mandela. Look, if you really think through, and I remember interviewing the Wolf of Wall Street, and he was told me what is literally going through the process, what it's like, and what they examine and how they do things. And Donald Trump, and we were talking off camera, and you brought up the point in the last segment that he won't eat food when he goes on foreign territory.
Right.
You have to use the bathroom. His hair, his makeup, his skin, like he will be pulled apart. He doesn't have the metal to do it. So anybody that's out there saying, oh, it's a great moment for him, and this is not a mugshot, this is jail. And Donald Trump is terrified. You've got to believe just by his issues with odors and smells and fear of disease. This guy does not want to spend 30. Nobody does, but particularly this guy.
You were in court today. What was this moment like?
It's the sentence we've been waiting for over a year. There's been a lot of tongue wagging from different judges, usually to the attorneys. Not only did he put it out there, we're now at the line, but he turned, as you said, and I've never seen this before, to Trump directly, and he lectured him. I don't want to do it, but if you force me to, I'm going to have to. It was slightly breathtaking, I would say, because of the direct, we are here, here's the line, that's it.
There's got a bit of a scratch here. There is what I would call a glorification right now of prison and jail, as far as people around Trump's orbit see it, and the sort of people who appear on cable news, saying that, oh, if Trump goes to jail for contempt of court during the hush money hearing, because he keeps on saying things and breaking his gag, that will guarantee victory. It's almost like they are, while they're encouraging him to break the law. That is the situation as far as Fox are concerned. Here's the thing. Does anybody, hand on heart, really, deep down, believe that Trump wants to go to prison? Because it's all very well going for the headlines, going for the drama, but I just don't think he does. Because it's almost like listening to somebody say, put your hand on a hot object, don't worry if you get burnt. That is the advice, that's the encouragement which is coming from Fox. For them, it's great headlines. They will manipulate it and trigger as many MAGA people as possible. But the thing that I say is no election is ever decided by die-hard Trump supporters or die-hard people who are really against Trump.
Greg, I have a message for the Democrats.
What?
No judge is coming to save them. Like, even if that were to happen, it's not going to save them from a tough election in November.
No, and every time they try to do something to Trump, it just helps him. It reminds me of that cliched scene in every action movie where the hero is tied to a chair in a gritty warehouse, taunted by an armed and lethal enemy. And what does the hero do after getting pistol whipped? He smiles and he spits blood back in the enemy's face. So in that story that I told, who is the hero and who is the abusing enemy? Even if you don't like Trump, you know who the hero is in this, and it's Trump. And I think the judge just mildly endorsed him by saying possibly the next president.
That's right.
I think he did. I hope they do arrest Trump. I hope they put him in jail because that does guarantee that he wins. Please, please, please. This is becoming the greatest third act of any political story, perhaps moving. And by the way, there's this unintentional benefit. I think that America is reaping benefits by shunting all of the Trump derangement people into this small patch called the courtroom drama. It keeps them busy. What's going on? So they're not on the street harassing people in red hats or doxing people. They're just, what's going on? So it keeps them busy. This is their little shiny toy. Meanwhile, and I've said it a million times, I won't say it again, it's focusing and sharpening Trump. He comes out of the gate like a bronco, ready to just roar. And it's working. I mean, man, it's like he's up.
Yeah.
Keep it going.
Do correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not the die-hard Trump supporters or the really people who actually can't stand him. It's your probably moderates in the swing states that are going to determine the next election. And I just don't think, two things. First of all, I don't believe Trump really wants to go there. It's all bravado until push comes to shove, excuse the cliche. And then second of all, if you're in a moderate state, a swing state, do you really think the person to represent you is a felon? Because you can carry on, which is what they're doing within the Republican Party, saying it's all political, it's all against him. But at some stage, you're just going to have to say, how many more people are there who aren't Democrats, who clearly aren't some radical people, who are just questioning what is going on with the crook in charge, the commander-in-chief? In the same way that Marjorie Taylor Greene is having questions asked about her, I just don't believe that those who have traditional Republican values, traditional conservative values, are they're not going to put the tick in the box for him. The deputy, I can't think of his name, the guy in Georgia today, sorry, I'll have to Google it, I'll come over it. In fact, 1 second, let me Google it. Sorry, I did have to Google it. It is the former Lieutenant Governor of Georgia. Let me just read it. Jeff Duncan. He's vowed to vote for Biden over Trump. He says, quote, "Unlike Trump, I belong to the GOP my entire life. This November, I'm voting for a decent person I disagree with on policy over a criminal defendant without a moral compass." And I'll be honest with you, I think there's going to be so many more Republicans like that. And why would they want somebody who's been locked up? We haven't even got to the actual case being fully tried. This is just somebody whinging and whining, and if anything, the law has actually treated him different. Clearly, for the sycophants, they're pushing and pushing and pushing, and they feel it's going to get. What result is it going to get by Trump being in cuffs? What result?
The government just said that they want 2 to 3 more weeks. That means they want to keep me off the trail for 2 to 3 more weeks. Now, anybody in there would realize that there's no case. They don't have a case. Every legal scholar says they don't have a case. This is just a political witch hunt. It's election interfering. And this is really, truly election interference, and it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. And in every poll, I'm leading by a lot. And they figure maybe they can do something here. Maybe they can do. This case should be over. This case should have never been brought. By the way, Alvin Bragg didn't want to bring the case. Your previous DA didn't bring the case. The FEC said they threw it away. They said, you got to be kidding. Southern District didn't bring the case. Nobody brought the case. And then Alvin Bragg brought the case as soon as, when I'm running and leading, that's when they decided, let's go bring a case. So it's a disgrace. But we just heard 2 to 3 more weeks. I thought they were finished today. And they are finished today if you look at what's happening. I thought they were going to be finished today, and they want 2 to 3 more weeks. The judge asked them, and playing right into the judge's hands. The judge is so happy about 2 to 3 more weeks. Because they all want to keep me off the campaign trail. That's all this is about. This is about election interference. How do we stop it? And it's a disgrace. And then you have the other thing that maybe is even more disgraceful is the gag order, where I can't basically, I have to watch every word I tell you people. You ask me a question, a simple question, I'd like to give it, but I can't talk about it. Because this judge has given me a gag order and said you'll go to jail if you violate it. And frankly, you know what? Our Constitution is much more important than jail. It's not even close. I'll do that sacrifice any day. But what's happening here is a disgrace, and the appellate courts ought to get involved. New York looks so bad. The New York system of so-called justice looks so bad between this judge in Gorin and Kaplan. You triple teamed with corrupt judges. It's a disgrace to our nation. So I should be out there campaigning, and they said 2, and the way I look at it, they're really talking about 3 weeks more. And by the way, they didn't even have enough to fill out the time. You know, we got out early today because they didn't have another witness. The government didn't have another witness. So they didn't even have time to fill it out. And then they complained. So I'll tell you what, I hope you report the story accurately. This is a real threat to our country, and it's a serious threat to the Constitution. In the meantime, Columbia University announced today they're not going to have their graduation. They're not going to have a ceremony. And that's happening all over the country. Our country is a mess. And the most important day in the history of our country is going to be November 5th of this year. That's called Election Day. It's going to be the most important day in the history of our country. What's going on with this judge is a disaster. between the gag orders and the hatred he's got for me, and everybody sees it, okay, and you see it better than anybody. God bless the USA.
Is Stormy Daniels a liar? Is Michael Cohen a liar?
Actually, I made a mistake. He's just turned 5. But now, my 5-year-old, I have 0 complaints. Just a beautiful boy. But he does do the thing in terms of testing the parameters. It's like all kids, if you have children, and so I mean, they need to have boundaries. They need to know right from wrong, etc. I'll give you just a basic example. Sometimes after the school run, he doesn't want to put on his seatbelt. Just doesn't. Well, it's not that he doesn't want to, but it's almost like his way of testing, am I going to let him go in the car without the seatbelt? And it's always a no. Like, he can't sit up front. He wants to sit up front. It's always a no. We have regulations. There's reasons why we have rules and regulations and laws, and we can't throw a tantrum every single time we feel like it. In Trump's case, blaming somebody for our own faults. And that's what's going on here. He's blaming somebody else. It is. If you don't clean the floor, who is it to blame? You walk on the floor in your house. It's easy to blame somebody else, but when it's your fault, and let me share something else with you, which I'd love to know your thoughts. Legendary Hollywood star, actor, legend, any word you can think of is the right accolade. Dick Van Dyke has had it's interesting. Let me play it to you, and I'll get back to you.
I'm Dick Van Dyke. You may remember me. I used to fall down a lot on purpose. I don't speak up a lot, but there's something on my mind that I wanted to talk about. You know, our Supreme Court has delayed any decision about a president's immunity, and at the same time they have stalled everything so that Donald Trump's path back to the White House is pretty clear now. And when that happened, both of the cable network stations printed headlines, corrupt. Our Supreme Court is corrupt. And then nothing, silence. Not another word been spoken about it by anybody. They dropped the subject as if they'd been squelched. At the same time, for some reason, our college students, out of the blue, became very concerned about what's happening in the Middle East. I'm beginning to feel a little manipulated somehow. Think about it, will you? Thanks.
I have this belief, a long-term belief as well, that a lot of the cable news stations love the drama. They love Trump being in court. It's kind of clickbait. In the same way, I suspect Trump loves it as well, loves the attention, because it's like a reality show to him. Just mention the word Trump. Hogan Gidley is somebody who I think used to work, being sarcastic, used to work in the White House press briefing, along with Kayleigh McEnany, Sarah Sanders, Kellyanne Conway, and all the other people who like to fabricate the truth. And it's interesting what he had to say about Hope Hicks, because he was on CNN, and as I said, they used the whole trial for clicks. Didn't really get pushed by Jake Tapper to the questions we wanted answering, which is basically, is Hope Hicks telling the truth? Yeah, that's the problem with half of all of this. It's like there is some game being played. Right? At the end of the day, why didn't they put Hogan Gidley, why didn't they connect him to a lie detector? Surely that would make for much better TV than him just rolling up, using the talk time and coming up with any old garbage, which is kind of what happens. You know, why? There's not been one, as far as I could see, in a member of Trump's circle connected to a lie detector. Why is that? I'm not saying it's going to give any concrete evidence, but you do ask yourself, if they believe so much about what they're saying, why doesn't somebody actually challenge Trump himself to be connected to a lie detector? He loves ratings. Be a definite ratings winner, that one.
Of any agreement or payment involving her. That's the Wall Street Journal, January 12, 2018. Now, court transcripts show that Hope Hicks was asked if she's the one that gave the statement. She said, quote, "No, I'm not." The prosecutor says, "Who was the White House official quoted in the story?" Hope Hicks said, "I can't say for sure. But I think that it was Hogan Gidley. He was the deputy press secretary," unquote. Was it you? I don't know if you have any memory of that. And what did you make of this moment, your name coming up in the trial?
Nothing like being name checked in this trial. In fact, I got a lot of texts from reporters saying, hey, man, this is the first time you've been name checked. Get ready. You're going to be pulled into this somehow, some way. So it kind of made me chuckle a little bit. And honestly, I don't even remember that situation or that comment. I'm not afraid to stand up and say if I said it, I'm the one who did it, of course. But I don't remember that. But it's always kind of funny to watch these things kind of bleed out of the courtroom and you know, kind of encapsulate other people. So no big deal, no harm, no foul, but it's just kind of funny.
Are you still in touch with Hope Hicks?
Oh, yeah, we talk and text pretty regularly. I kind of was reading through some of the transcripts that she you know, with what she said in the courtroom, just vintage Hope, saying that Cohen liked to refer to himself as the fixer, but he was the one who usually broke it. I just had to chuckle at some of those comments she made, obviously saying that this was to protect Donald Trump's wife, clearly, which I think really hurt the prosecution's case, bringing her up in that way. And just knowing her the way I do, I can imagine how gut-wrenching this is for her. Someone who served in the White House, who always had Donald Trump's best interests at heart. Then she kind of goes into private life, doing what she wants to do personally, professionally, and then kind of gets pulled back into these types of things. And you saw kind of where her heart is on these matters when she broke down in tears. I think they had to even take a recess because of it. So she's a great person, and I hate the fact that these slime balls are trying to bring her into this whole process.
Have you talked to her?